Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people who are people. Welcome to Guardsman Gaming, I'm Katie Guardsman. I got a replay of a game I played, it's 4v4. I'm a 4v4 pleb, for those of you who don't know. I do a lot of 4v4s, it's kind of my favorite game mode because I'm a pleb. I prefer to watch 1v1s because I am a unskilled pleb. Pleb. I'm playing USF because I'm a USF fanboy. Yes. So, let's get into this, shall we? So, I'm going for a normal rifle opener. We are seeing an interesting open from Dios. He's going to go heavily into MP44s, it seems. Interesting choice, especially on an open map like Red Ball Express. So, interesting choice there. Very surprised, actually. I mean, yeah, this area is kind of close range, but there's also some solid cover behind here, and with Volks Grenadiers, you can kind of get a bit of long-range sandbag firepower going, so a bit of an interesting choice. I do think Luftwaffe Ground Forces is just, unless you have fortifications, Doctrine Luftwaffe Ground Forces is the way to go on this map, to just lock down the wide areas and deny flanking opportunities. I do love players who put this down against USF in any matchup. It's not like rear echelons can just upgrade it with upgrade to the hazard removal package, which chances are they will do anyway, and cut through it. But yeah, whatever. I mean, on the other hand, though, not a lot of players remember to cut through things, so. Support package. I love how they just choose to name it. It's like, it's a hazard removal package, guys. Oh no, it's a support package, guys. But yeah, so we are winning up top. Now, the weird thing is this guy decided to go heavily into center. Stormtrooper decided to go into center. That's left his teammate really exposed to a 3v1. And the interesting thing is, he then decides to come this way. First things first, luckily my ally is smart. He's gone for a very heavy static MG build, because he knows that I'll be around to supply him with riflemen. So I'll immediately shift my riflemen back, temporarily, until I force off the MP44s. Then I'll refocus them to force off the MP44 equipped Strum Pioneers, because Strum Pioneers are the dangerous one. My ally has a bit of a fail there. He doesn't reface this one, but he's trying to keep these guys off my back. So it does look like he's making a bit of a microfail, but in reality he's just trying to keep these guys off while this machine gun suppresses and my riflemen close in. Basically taking control of top, and that is really what you want to do as a USF Russian combo player up top. It's very strong. Riflemen providing that very good firepower, and the MGs providing good suppression. Obviously, I'm getting the green cover up on the edge of the fuel. I think I want to wire it off, but I think we just end up advancing so far forward because he's so aggressive with his machine guns. I was very surprised to see he was going very aggressive with machine guns. Meanwhile, down south, we have the British forces. Double Brits down south. We have one person going down here, fighting two. Very forward battle group headquarters, and we got some mines on the flank to prevent good old Alex from getting anything done. Glorious M1910 Maxim heavy machine gun, by the way. It's really not where you want it. You don't want it on red cover. That will force it to just pull back slightly or risk getting wiped out. Riflemen are starting to move up. I'm starting to get a feel for this player. I really do think at this point he's getting very aggressive. And I do have to say, very interesting choice to put these here. This very forward battle group headquarters. Very forward. I guess he wasn't thinking that I would be so aggressive, like the Russian player would be so aggressive, because I guess you can understand from his point of view, he is going for a, he is going heavily into the machine gun strat. I mean, this strategy doesn't really work on your own, but when you're backed up by a solid USF player, it's going to be an issue for you to overcome. And I guess when he saw the machine guns, he wasn't expecting such aggressive plays. And we are making really aggressive plays here. As long as the MG is backing us up, this is actually a safe engagement. or somewhat safe engagement. Yes, he can reinforce, but he's suppressed. Problem is, his ally is going to shift across onto our flank. I go into a captain, get a AT gun to try and dislodge this position, but they're forced off. Now my riflemen are free to shift back across, and he makes the mistake of actually advancing. Not a very smart idea. Advancing on USF riflemen is never a good idea. He does chuck a Flamme Granata onto the static weapons of the Soviet player, but now his flank is being assaulted by the British. We are seeing artillery drop down. British forces player here, spot on. He saw we were starting to get basically knocked off balance by the flame grenades, and he came in at the right time. Down south, we are seeing Candonor. Can people just have easy names like Alex? We're seeing Cand go in, and he's doing a very good job of 1v2ing here. Like, a very solid job of 1v2ing. What he's allowing Alex to do is come and support us in our push. Ooh, that was almost a wipe on the Strum Pioneers. But it's allowing us to play much more aggressively than we otherwise would. I've got a line back. I built a fighting position. I usually am very hostile to fighting positions, but I'm noticing what's going on here. He keeps trying to harass our flank, and he's using incendiary grenades. So if I can get a 50 cal out to basically pin him down, work in combination with the M1910, I can kind of maybe get my ally to contribute one more heavy machine gun to this area. And so now we have me really pushing on the aggression. I've got my allies AT gun, I've got my captain on the field, and we are just pushing into them. Eliminating that battle group headquarters in a 4v4 isn't as strong as it is in a 1v1, but nonetheless it is a crippling blow. And we are forcing off the enemy players. I do make a bit of a micro fail and don't chase it off. Meanwhile, down south we have the Germans starting to make solid, reinforce solid control down south of the map. What this does mean for the Allied team is that they don't control both fuels, but we have already got a pretty solid fuel advantage in the time that we did hold both of the fuel points, not to mention we do control slightly more of the map, and we have wiped out 2 battle group headquarters now. They can be salvaged, but actually a bit of a micro fail. I really should be attack grounding these vehicles here. Meanwhile, we are seeing some very solid use of mortar bunker. It's quite forward, actually, all things considered. And the Vickers couldn't really shoot this way because this building is one of those buildings which, as you notice, on either side does not have a viewpoint. So bear that in mind when you are... Ooh, this is a critical misplay. When you build a second mortar emplacement, things aren't going to go well. Volk's Grenadiers really should be advancing, though. You don't want to stand static in front of a mortar bunker. You want to get into its minimum engagement range. Riflemen will shift over to try and protect the mortar bunker. We're using Royal Engineers come out from both... one. They look so similar. From Alex, he's going Royal Engineers. Hardly surprising since he's going heavily into mortar bunkers. And we are seeing Early Warning and Royal Artillery Regiment come out from Cannondon. We are also seeing, from me, no choice yet. I will be going Tactical Support Company because Tactical Support Company is overpowered, and it's not really overpowered. It's really not. It's actually just a very solid, very strong one. It's about, I'd say the top tier companies right now are Tactical Support, Heavy Cav companies, I would definitely say. I don't really see Rifle Company as a good company anymore. Meanwhile, my ally is doing a solid job. I do still have a Maxim M1910 gun I picked up, and I have the M1 anti-tank gun I accidentally have not set to fire only at infantry. I mean, only at armor. Seeing flanking guys. At this point, it's a bit hard because I'm trying to maintain control over the center and top of the map. I need to support my ally, but I also need to support Alex. Alex has gone heavily into mortars, which is proving to be a difficult thing for me to really work around. When you do something like this, you're really making sure your team will have to support you, as long as you don't get a... If you got a single Bofors, I wouldn't actually have to babysit it, but like it's taking quite a fair amount of my support away from my friend up top. the Russian player Shai Hulud. Shai Hulud. Shai Hulud. There we go, Shai Hulud. So, Shai Hulud is actually fortifying this area quite nicely. He's got a demo trap up, and my 50 cal has a pretty wide angle of attack. Hopefully, can suppress some guys in the demo traps AoE and really cause some giggles. Royal Engineers forced off. So now down south, the Germans are starting to push up very aggressively, taking very firm control of the map. That's a Vickers 303, isn't it? Yeah, that's not particularly good, losing a Vickers to the OKW. OKW are a faction that struggles without MGs now. They don't have their glorious Kubelwagens of drive into your spawn area and suppress you indefinitely bullshit. Wow, this is still alive. Universal Carrier surviving quite a long time. It does need to back off. It doesn't want to have its flank exposed to Strum Pioneers. Ooh, mortars though. The mortars, the thing is, they're very strong. Don't get me wrong, they're very strong, especially when you have 6 mortars, but he has no Bofors to protect them. And I think that will not do very well for him when stuff like this starts advancing. Putting a battle group headquarters here, not the smartest of ideas. But yeah, I'm forced to retreat here. I don't actually have a major out yet, do I? No, I do not. Though I almost can afford it. Can't quite afford it yet. There goes a M1910 machine gun. I tried to suppress it for long enough for the mortars to really do their glorious work, but I think their attention was focused elsewhere. No, it was focused in the right place. It just, they're a bit slow to fire, and this is where he'll be in a bit of an issue, because he has nothing really to stop these guys for his mortars. And I mean, yeah, rear echelons aren't really about to stop Strum Pioneers. I mean, I can try and back away, but he's pushing on the aggression. Nothing really I can do. And yeah, luckily he's got a fair amount of infantry sections. No Vickers though, but that will see a thing being forced off. But then we have the glorious Katusha. Katusha rockets. But yeah, so we are seeing a shit ton of artillery come down from the allied team here. I mean, really making sure that the advances are hard. But we will see this go down probably, unless Freedom and Democracy come and save the day. Yep, Freedom and Democracy saves the day, sir. And we are seeing British artillery knock out those Nazi bastards. But we are seeing artillery wars begin. Not something you want to start as OKW. It's not something you can win anymore. Especially against this many fortifications. This is definitely not where you want to have your mortar bunkers, however. And this is where a Bofors would be actually really good. A Bofors here would be easily able to handle the amount of pressure being put onto his flank. But as it stands, no, he's not got that. Anyway, M4 Sherman of Freedom comes pouring down the middle. I love that skin, by the way. That's why I always have it on. Sadly, I don't think I have the winter skin, and I'm too stingy to pay for a skin, because yeah, I'm stingy. But yeah, we are seeing a major push being done by the USF onto the battle group headquarters. Try and maintain it for as long as humanly possible. A bit of pressure is never a bad thing. Ooh, do I call in an airstrike? Yes, I do. Calling in an airstrike. Sherman will get forced off by the sheer amount of Panzerschrecks, and yeah, that's pretty much the assault over. That's the weird thing about putting a battle group headquarters that far forward. You're kind of disadvantaged. It can give you an advantage, but against aggressive players, you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage. Going for an M5 half-track, probably, if I can remember correctly, to go for an anti-air package. Anti-air package is okay, especially against Shrek Blob. It can be useful, and against German Air Force doctrines, it can be pretty useful. But we are seeing glorious Katusha Now, the Katyusha rocket is nowhere near as good as the Calliope, but it does the job. It's okay. My lord. Sherman could go down here. We are seeing a glorious push. Sherman pulling back, very aggressive repair point. USF fighting for their lives, trying to keep the Germans away from their repairing armor. Ooh, that will be the AT gun going down. Do we see any German armor nearby to do anything? No. So the Germans are fighting very close to their battle group headquarters, however, so they will be able to keep this aggression mounting much more longer than they would otherwise be able to. And we are seeing the USF break. Russians, meanwhile, are kind of maintaining a defensive posture. They have got the Katyusha and a few PPSHs pushing up. We are seeing the flank assault. Ooh, and this is where this sort of thing hurts teams. But we are seeing all of the mortar positions be cleared out, one by glorious one. There it goes. M15 tries to protect the Brits, but sadly it is not to be. Mortar bunker is going down. Yeah. Not in the best of positions now, is he? I do need to actually... Ooh, this could be a pretty potent rocket barrage. Sadly, it misses the blob of doom. Germans are really getting very aggressive here. Infantry section's not engaging from cover. They're not getting their good bonus, and that Churchill has been kind of caught out. He needs to be careful with the Churchill. It doesn't have the good amount of health it used to have. We saw the frag grenade ability be popped. It needs to start to get out of there. There is probably another Raketten moving up. Nope. No other Rakettens, wow. Very few Rakettens, actually. Uses the smoke screen ability to get away. We are seeing USF pushing up on the... Nope, just kidding, never mind. But yeah, this area is pretty heavily defended. We are seeing mines be thrown down, not a bad idea. But the Axis aren't really pushing the top at all. We are seeing the Churchill perhaps use a frag grenade, yes, using a crew self-defense ability to wipe out the Rakettenwerfer. We are seeing the Vickers get in the building. It's not in a good position anymore because of the Schwerpanzer headquarters, which covers this building now. So the Vickers is not in a great position. We are seeing a flanking Obersoldaten. The Churchill is in a precarious position with the amount of Shreks there. The Rakettenwerfer might get stolen. We don't know. Vickers needs to get out of there. Ooh, Raketten, will you get away? That is the question. Yes, Rakettenwerfer gets away. Bit of a surprise there. I thought Obersoldaten would be better, especially against a retreating unit. But no, sadly, the Rakettenwerfer does escape the grasp of the OKW. Bulletproof does not quite catch them out. We are seeing quite a substantial armoured force for the Allies. The Axis have yet, I think, to appear with any real armour. They are starting to get it out now. We are seeing a Panther hit the field for Bulletproof, and that will be a bit of a change in the dynamics of the game. The Schwerpanzer headquarters of Duos is building a Jagdpanzer 4. On this map, Jagdpanzer 4 is a bit of a questionable choice. There are a lot of sight blockers, at least right now. Maybe when this field starts to get a bit more damage, there might be a bit more open, but for now the sight blockers are real. Ooh, we might see a Sherman going down here, but we see rocket barrages of Katyusha. Glorious Katyusha comes in, saves the M4 Sherman, forces it off. Very good, very nice, beautiful, very classy. Alright, now the Calliope has hit the field. Remember that the Calliope is just absurdly better because it not only costs more, but it has more rockets and is on an armoured frame, though you really don't want it to be using its armoured frame very much. It does allow you to get a little bit more closer than you otherwise would, however. God, down south there's a lot of artillery. Moving this Calliope very forward. Don't know what Cadian is trying to do here. What I'm trying to do, I should say. Ooh, maybe go for a nice... Yes! No! Not the area you want to hit, Cadian, you silly goose. Still, at the very least, that is a wiped-out M1910 and a wiped-out Raketenwerfer 43. American infantry are advancing on the Germans. Frag grenade hits the Raketen and doesn't quite make the mark. USF clear out the Raketenwerfer 43, but are forced off by the sheer amount of German forces. Germans are starting, I think, to push up north. Either that or they've just been barraging it like there's no tomorrow. I'm going to go with the latter. Yeah, so we are seeing a very heavy push from the USF into the center. They, my thinking is if you can at least keep the fighting here, that's two less players fighting over middle, fighting over the VP, and fighting over the munitions, which tends to go decently. Now we are seeing Soviet artillery, I think? Yes, that looks like Soviet artillery. Yeah, it is. So Soviet artillery hitting the battle group headquarters in all its inaccurate glory. It is hardly a Calliope. Calliopes are a bit more accurate, I feel. Su-85s, pretty much the go-to in 4v4s. When you are spamming artillery, make sure you have tank destroyers. Try to have at least 1 or 2 tank destroyers. Okie dokie. So the Panther is doing work. It's got 5 kills. We are going to see it crush the fence and open up the cross-side mobility a bit more. What is... The Panther is going in on the Churchill. Churchill needs to get out of there. I don't think it can really deal with a Panther. Yeah, sniper going down. There's nothing really can deal with the Panther, I think. Maybe the stun shot is throwing an artillery barrage somewhere, I believe. No, that was another unit throwing. He's using his concentration barrage, but it will go down. There is no way this Panther is not killing this Churchill. Oh god, a miss. It is resulting in the Panther going in very deep. He does not have the munitions to use the smoke ability, however, and there goes both the Churchill and the Panther. That's not a good trade for the Germans. So, he went in too deep there with the Schwerpanzer, and it has resulted in him being punished. Meanwhile, we are seeing something happen here. Something crashed. I think that was a reconnaissance plane, I think. No, that was a Sturmovik attack crash. And then we are seeing the entire German Air Force go for a assault. We are seeing a very deep Sturmgeschütz, not Sturmgeschütz, very deep Jagdpanzer 4. He does pick off, I believe, a Sherman Calliope, or a M4 Sherman. No, Sherman Calliope, my M4 Sherman is still up. So that's not particularly good. Jagdtigers, what a joke. But yes, we are seeing the American forces push forward in all their firepower glory. German battle group headquarters. Where is the other battle group? Other battle group headquarters is now in a very conservative position. Hardly surprising with the amount of aggression that's going on here. It's not very surprising. Though there is another Jagdpanzer 4, so the Sherman does need to get the hell out of Dodge. Oh boy, here we go. Jagdpanzer 4 may be able to do something bad here. Losing 2 Churchills would be very, very bad. There goes one, and the other will go down. Now, what did that go down to? Packen bullshit. Pack-Kanon 43. It's probably only got one vehicle kill. It's set to fire on vehicle. Wow, there's 2! 2 Pack 43s. Jesus wept. Sniping the M4 Sherman from across the map, of course. I think, no. Might have been a different thing that died to, I think. No, it had to have gone down to the Pack Cannon. Oh boy. We are seeing the M4 Sherman target something. What is the M4 Sherman targeting? This? Yes, M4 Sherman targeting this pack gun here. In conjunction with the AVRE will result in the pack gun being absolutely destroyed. But in return, we might see the AVRE get knocked out by the other pack gun. Hardly surprising. We are seeing quite an intense game happen here. It's all unfolding here. Germans are blobbing up a lot more than they should, though, and that is allowing the Calliopes and rocket artillery and artillery of the Allied players to become very strong. Not only that, but the harassment up top has been effectively zero, while the British have been coming down here with their Churchills every now and again. However, with these pack guns up, the Brits haven't we've seen a lot of vehicles go down to these pack guns. I think that's 3 vehicles so far have been destroyed in the period of about a minute, so not a very good position for the Allied team to be in. We are seeing a lot of artillery fire come down. This M15 half-track has not really done much. Usually it's good for suppressing blobs like this, but when there's a pack cannon on the field, you can't really use it very aggressively. Meanwhile, we are seeing perhaps over-aggression down south from Bulletproof. A bit of conservatism is needed. Conservatism. Words are hard. It is needed if you want to do well, especially when there is a pack gun up. You may get the idea that you can just push forward with your armor and your buildings, but yeah, definitely a smarter place to put it than up here where he had it. A Sphere here would just get killed too quickly. We are seeing the Churchill kill everything. But the Shrek Blob will be easily able to deal with a Churchill. You need to be careful of those Shrek Blobs you do. Terrible accents are just as bad. But yes, so we are seeing one of the strong points of the glorious M15 half-track. It can suppress quite well. Well, M16 half-track. I keep calling it the M15 half-track. Weird. But we do see a Volksgrenadier squad get wiped while it was suppressed. It's really one of the key advantages of the M16 half-track. The quad mount does allow it to just suppress enemy infantry and basically make them sitting ducks for the artillery strikes. And that's why it works so well in this doctrine here, especially in 2v2s and 1v1s, provided you can keep the A Calliope. You usually would not go for 2 unless you're in a very strong position in a 1v1. But A Calliope, an M15, and some anti-tank vehicles, backed up with a solid infantry force, can be very scary and very hard to deal with. Though we are seeing the QF 17-pounder, and no snares. Snares were needed in a weird sort of way because of the 17-pounder. But we are seeing some artillery come down, so we are seeing rocket barrage come out. Sadly a bit late, not predicted correctly. That will result in the AT gun going down. 18 kills on one of the Calliopes, 5 kills on the Katusha. I mean, the Katusha Veterancy 219. Meanwhile, 18 kills from the Calliope. The Calliope is a much better unit at killing targets. I mean, look at the rocket saturation from the Calliope. I know it's also being paired up by this Katusha, but it's got a very, very high, very high amount of firepower.
A capture point is being overrun.
Wow, lucky break from the M16 half-track there. Meanwhile, we are starting to finally see, I think, German aggression on the left. Meanwhile, this very aggressive playstyle charging into American rocket artillery and Russian rocket artillery, though the Russian artillery is a bit less impressive, is taking its toll. They are losing units quite a lot here, and ooh, 2 Volksgrenadier squads going down for Duos. So Duos is now infantryless. He needs to make back those units, or he'll be in a very bad position. And we are seeing a major US infantry assault. I think an infantry squad going down there. USF aren't in the best position. Raketen barrage hitting behind. Damaged engine on the Jagdpanzer 4. Will this be able to maintain fire? No, because it's on brace structure. That's very unfortunate. American forces taking a bit of a shelling here, it seems, on their ambulance. But yeah, major engagement there. Does see American squads get wiped out, but we are seeing Axis squads be wiped out left, right, and center. I think the last player who really has a solid infantry force is Sentinel and Bulletproof, because they've been operating so heavily on the south flank. They've been away from the American artillery. Sentinel is starting to feel the pain, however, so interesting goings on. American artillery is starting to get to the point where it will be scary. Around Veterancy level 2 is when the weapon range starts to become really good, and Veterancy 3, they all get rate of fire improvements, which just make them really hard to dodge. Yeah. M15 half-track goes on the flank to deny the Fallschirmjägers their prize. But yeah, the Konstiger is going to prove to be an issue here. Of course, at capturing Raketenwerfer 43, which is invisible because, you know, balance. We are seeing very heavy pushes on the side, but we are seeing Freedom and Democracy save the day, pushing it off. Doesn't get the wipe, it's sadly a new call on. So we are seeing very heavy artillery from the USF, which is a bit of a risk considering there is a Konstiger on the field, very much relying on the 17-pounder and his allies' armor, though his allies' armor is actually quite negligible. If the Germans make a consolidated armored push, it might be to the USF, to the allied forces' detriment, but they don't really have the infantry to support it. Bear that in mind, and I mean, look at the 17-pounder. It's cutting through the armor of the Germans like butter. We see the AVRE wiping what I believe to be 2 German infantry squads there, so we are now seeing Sentinel losing his infantry, and infantry is vitally important. You can't really do well without infantry. So now Bulletproof is really the last German player with a sizable veteraned-up infantry force. It's going to be bad in the long run. This is what happens when you blob your infantry up, even in 4v4s. Rocket artillery counters blobs really nicely. Just because it's a 4v4 doesn't mean you should just throw your infantry forward like this. You should still aim to spread it out a tiny bit. 2 squads is about the max you want to throw into an assault together. Where is the USF infantry at? Here we go. See, this is a disaster waiting to happen, and I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of doing it in 4v4s because we're all casual scrubs. But, no, I am kidding. Anyone who thinks that really should check on their elitism meter and kindly go sod off. But yes, we are seeing a bit of a blobbing going on here from the USF as well. And it could be disastrous if the German team ever hits with their Raketenwerfer 43, not Raketenwerfer 43, Stukazafuss. Major assaults going on up top now. The Germans really are trying to take back this game. They need to keep this constant pressure up, and the lack of USF armor, the lack of British anti-tank is proving to be a major challenge. The Konstiger getting a bit overextended here, though. Yeah, there we go, and now it's open for a USF rifle nade. If it gets rifle naded, it's going to be in a pretty precarious situation. Remember that the British can fire piercing shots, which smash through things. Tiger needs to be careful. So the riflemen do get the snare off. Is there any follow-ups? We are seeing British Churchills roam into the battle.
Emplacement under attack.
17-pounder there. This position isn't very good. We are seeing American rocket artillery hitting the field. It is trying to pick off the Tiger. Will it get it? Nope. American rocket artillery for the win. The Brits try and snipe. It They get a few infantry, but American rocket artillery securing the Tiger, and American rocket artillery securing one squad while the Churchill wipes another. Very dangerous to charge into American rocket artillery because the Calliope has so many... Like, one thing you need to bear in mind about the Calliope is, look at how many rocket tubes one of them has. Look at how many rocket tubes that monster has. That's freedom and democracy for you. Democracy is not a negotiation for those of you who think it is. You are sadly mistaken. The Katyusha does not have as many rocket tubes as a Calliope does. Like, it really doesn't. Really does not. Technically has bigger rockets, so it should have a bit more AoE, but that's beside the point. AoE is not as important, really, as it comes to rate of fire and weight of numbers. And the AVRE almost wiping a squad out there. Successfully wiping a squad out there when the artillery smacks down. And we are really seeing the Germans suffer from a lack of infantry. I mean, there goes bulletproof infantry, so now all players are down to new, unveteraned infantry forces. And that's going to weigh on their aggressive capabilities, because tanks are all good. They're good, but without infantry backing them up, they're going to struggle. Meanwhile, the Allied team has a fair amount of vetted infantry. Brits, not so much, but America has 3 full vetted infantry squads. I'd like to see another infantry squad. You should always try and have 4 infantry squads, though I think trying to get AT is starting to weigh on the USF's mind. It's interesting. We are seeing quite actually, surprisingly, not a lot of veterancy from Canadan. I actually got it right. Wow, Canadan, I think. No. Yeah. Candeon. Damn it! Yeah, Candeon. But he's been fighting a 1v1 against the Germans down south. Hardly surprising. Yeah. Ooh, we are seeing another rocket barrage. Where will it land? Here we go. I think it's about time that this thing gets deleted. American rocket artillery. Freedom. 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 Yeah, this pack gun might survive. Nope, just kidding. Pack gun gets deep-rooted. AVRE decides this thing needs to go. What is the Raketen? The Raketen is attempting to do something. Remember, these 17-pounders do cost 20 pop cap each, because, of course, they do. But we are seeing the Germans struggle to deal with them. It's facing the wrong way, but the King Tiger cannot actually stay in the line of sight of the 17-pounders. Massive American rifleman formation coming in, but we are seeing hundreds of artillery rockets just smack down and really barrage the ever-loving Jesus out of it. These guys should get the hell out of there. Trying to get the snares off, but it's very risky, especially when there's a King Tiger and a Stuka Zafus on the field. Yep, there we go. Rifleman will try and slow pull back to get the better pathing to avoid. Basically, what you saw there, pulling back like that means they'll go straight like that instead of try and go around the, like, run this way and then get caught here and run around the corner and bunch up. You really need to remember to try and negate that, because that's where King Tigers will wipe the ever-loving crap out of your army. So we are seeing 3 rocket artillery formations from the USF here. It is weighing the German... It is causing a substantial amount of bleed. I mean, look at all the kills that the Calliopes have gotten. I mean, compared to the Raketen's only gotten 2. Not Raketen, Stuka Zafus has only gotten 2. Though it does eliminate one of the 17-pounders, which is proving to be a problem for the Germans. Another British Churchill goes down. Not very good for the Brits. In fact, Alex is in a very poor position compared to Cadian or Shy. So, very surprising there. Shy is taking up the north part of the map, but we will see, I believe, a Panther get caught out here. He's reversing into a Sherman Calliope rocket barrage. Not what you want to do. Luckily, the barrage ends, saving the Panther. Stukas of Hus launching a counter-artillery barrage, I believe. Yes, he's trying to stop the fuel cap, which he successfully does. I don't know why the Pak-43 has become so prolific in the builds of the OKW recently, but it's not going to be good against a Calliope heavy army. You're kind of digging yourself into a grave by doing so. A Volt spam would be actually better than a Pak-43, because it's static, and Calliopes love eating that sort of shit. I think the Calliope is pulling back, shooting Scoot. We are seeing the Panther engage a Churchill. The Churchill is going to go down. Yeah, the Brits are getting double AT guns. They're not in a good place. Jacksons are moving in here. Not particularly smart to send in some Jacksons like this. And the Panther is going to try and snipe it off. It successfully does. Panther is on the fly. Panther is there. He is getting kited in quite nicely by the US Army, though. US Army is pushing in to get the snares off, blitzing the Panther out of there. But this is what you need to be careful of. You're focusing so heavily on the Panther that you're not noticing your King Tiger is now in snare range. He then moves up the Panther to try and protect. This is very, very risky. Americans capturing the Raketenwerfer in a last-minute clutch there, killing the King Tiger. Jackson takes a hit. Panther is backing off here. This is a very, very, very dangerous position for the Panther to be in. It needs to get out of there. And then the Americans are clear to attempt to push up or retreat. Basically do whatever they want. Calliopes should be in a position ready to fire. So the Calliopes are shifting down. Basically, at this point, the northern flank is pretty brutalized. It's time to clear off the southern flank. The Germans in north are in a pretty defensible position. So what you really want to aim for is this position here, where they're all clumped up, where the rocket artillery will do its max damage. Ooh, riflemen are forced off there. But yeah, we are seeing a lot of American rocket artillery go down, trying to catch out some squads. Jackson was repairing, but yeah, there we go. American rocket artillery gave a pretty interesting pyrotechnics display. I think it wiped 2 squads of artillery. Besides that, it's dropped nearly all the buildings down to very low health. It's going to basically relieve a lot of the pressure Candaon. Can't you just name yourself Alex, please? Please. Candaon is suffering. Meanwhile, the Russians and USF are doing very strong. The Brits aren't doing as well anymore. Their smaller squad sizes do pay. It does pay off in the late game, especially in a 4v4, to bolster your squad sizes. It's the sign of a good player to do so. A new player will say, "Oh, it just increases manpower bleed," which is actually a really, really dumb way to look at it. Bad players think like that. Good players realize that it increases your DPS by 25% and increases survivability of the squad, and increases your the vitality of the squad by 25%, its DPS by 25%, and it increases its upkeep costs slightly. Slightly. It's really worth getting, and it's better than having to retrain a squad from scratch. We are seeing the Germans repairing their everything. Ooh, that was a solid rocket barrage. That will cripple the Russians for a bit. But we are seeing Americans counter-rocketing everywhere. Lol. Thinking your silly Stukas of Hus are as good as Calliopes. Calliopes are down south. That was actually a Russian rocket barrage. Oh my god. Riflemen are pushing up very aggressively. They are trying to punish this Tiger, I think, but they're not going to catch it out. I severely doubt it. But we are seeing Americans manning the AT guns on the flank. This King Tiger has to be careful here. I laugh at this. Oh god, the stun's coming out. This Tiger is really staying in a bit too long in my opinion. It needs to start backing away before bad things happen. He is charging the Panther in. Panther will ricochet. It is a 6-pounder, so it doesn't have access to the rapid armor-piercing rounds. Germans are trying their damnedest to hold on. Russians are being pushed back up north. We are seeing the Panzer Fusiliers start to come out in force now, so that's contributing quite a lot to the success of the Germans. The Allied players are now holding both bottom and mid, which is something they haven't really been able to hold for a considerable amount of time, though that might be reversed very soon. We are seeing the glorious rocket artillery of freedom smash down on the chateau here. Whoever was once the proud owner of this chateau is going to be very upset, because he'll have to rebuild it, or at least renovate it, and something tells me that would be more expensive to repair than if the building was completely destroyed. But yes, up north we are seeing the Germans push up. The Germans have done a very good job to recover up north, considering they lost quite a lot of their squads. The Brits are not recovering as well, however. They're focusing only on Churchills. A bit of manpower float from everyone. Understandable from USF because of the pop cap. But from Alex and Candeon, we are seeing a bit of manpower float, which could be better invested into infantry and glorious Royal Engineers. King Tiger will force the Churchills off. Infantry squad going down there. There is the double Jacksons here, so the King Tiger needs to be careful. I'd like to see the USF infantry blob come down south and support his allies here. This is the position which really needs help. And I think the USF are about to teach the Germans a lesson in setting up their positions so far forward. Though the British have a large amount of armor, they keep using it very aggressively. Ooh, Panzer does eliminate the main gun of the Cromwell. This is a very poor position for the Cromwell to be in, especially when they can be snared by the Panzer Fusiliers. Luckily, the player forgets that he can snare tanks, and so one Cromwell will survive and one dies to a King Tiger snipe. Not King Tiger, Panther snipe. Meanwhile, down south, we are seeing the USF make a major push. Tink, 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 and the Jackson's 90mm guns really showing their strength here. What the hell is that lone guy from? Who knows? I have no idea what he's from. Oh, he's from the M15 half-track. Okay then, that's an interesting tactical choice.
Squad knocked out.
British losing a squad, that's not too good. Both teams are really making a very, very massive push. Without the American rocket artillery, the Germans have been able to push. I would like to see the Katyusha come down. It's the perfect opportunity. And yep, here we go, but it might be too little too late, depending on spread. Yeah, as I said, it's hardly a Calliope, so it doesn't clear out the German infantry blob as effectively as the Calliope. Though we are seeing a whoa, point-blank engagement with the artillery pounding there, forcing off the blob. Very, very good use of the artillery bombardment there coming out. We are in the danger zone. Jackson does, someone does eliminate a King Tiger. King Tiger showing its rear armor, not what you want to do, especially when there are two Jacksons. They're Vet 2 Jacksons. There we go. 2 vehicle kills on 1 Jackson, I believe. Yep, that would be a two King Tigers. Yeah, artillery smacking down. We're seeing Sentinel get a bit salty, either at us or at his teammates. Yeah. He's getting a bit upset. There's no need to resort to calling your enemy noobs. Call your teammates noobs. Yeah, you only win because of Arty noobs. Well, again, I always say, if you can't handle artillery, you're probably not a very good player. Artillery is dodgeable, and dealable. Like, they were spamming artillery, yet I've managed to keep most of my infantry squads up. So, I mean, it's an interesting choice to call your opponents noobs. And yeah, they were overcommitting. My criticism is they were overcommitting to these Pak 43s. They were spamming them literally everywhere, especially around here. And also, they were blobbing their infantry together against Calliopes. Now, I know OKW haven't really had to worry about ludicrous insta-gib wiping artillery like, say, the USF and Russian and Brits have had to worry about with the Stukas Afusas, but they exist now. So, yeah. It is actually very rich that he's complaining about overcommitment to, what do you call it? Overcommitment to a 17-pounder when he could counter it quite easily with the Stukas Afusas, or his teammate can. But, you know, when you build a King Tiger and complain that it's getting destroyed by 17-pounders in artillery, if your King Tiger's getting destroyed by artillery, you're doing something wrong. And yeah. Yeah. The Germans did not play a very, very potent game, in my opinion. They kind of fumbled. They took the advantage temporarily, but didn't really exploit the fact that we mainly had artillery. Mainly had artillery at one point. At one point, our team was very open to being destroyed by artillery. By an armored push, but they decided to play conservatively, and you really need to read what your opponent has. If you've got multiple King Tigers, and, you know, if you've got multiple King Tigers, and you've lost to artillery, you need to really analyze your tactics. I mean, when you've got multiple King Tigers, you should know that your opponent has probably been spending his fuel somewhere, or you know, on something. And if it's not enemy tanks, then it's obviously been spent on artillery or those sort of vehicles, or static emplacement in the case of Alex. So yeah, a bit of a weird position to get upset over being beaten by artillery, especially when you've been blobbing your infantry units up, and when you build. Okay, I just want to say, to any OKW player out there, I say this because I care. When you build your battle group headquarters this close to the middle, literally on the same screen as the center line of the map, do not get salty when you are punished for being overly aggressive like that. It's very good in the early game, and it's very good against newer players, but any good player knows that artillery will force you off, and they will use it to devastate you. It's just... It's a bit of an arrogant attitude to believe that you can put a battle group headquarters there, to put a battle group headquarters there. It's very arrogant to believe that you can safely do that. And, you know, if you do that, don't be surprised if it gets pounded into a moonscape by artillery. I mean, hell. It literally is... The map has been turned to a moonscape by the Calliopes. But yes. Where did all the trees go, man? But yeah, very risky plays from the Allies, especially, Alex lost a lot of his armor. I understand he has got quite a big fuel surplus, but his armor was perhaps a bit overly aggressive at times. Yeah, again, we are seeing a bit of a few misplays from Candeon. It did force the USF to come down south and take over the southern flank when he started to lose units. Hardly surprising when you see that many King Tigers. The Pat gun was built once the USF arrived, but when you see that many King Tigers, it's hardly surprising. But a bit of what do you call it? A bit of conservatism was probably needed. The Russians played exceptionally well. He transitioned very nicely from a super defensive playstyle to a semi-mobile playstyle in the late game, and really captured quite a lot of armor, even, I think, killing a King Tiger just then. So, very good, very solid play from the Russians. Germans played too aggressively, and I don't think there's a Wehrmacht here. Yeah, no Wehrmacht for the Panzerwerfer. So without the Panzerwerfer, they do lack a burst ability down. I mean, the Kettenwerfer can be dodged easily by good players. Panzerwerfer can be a bit unpredictable because of its scatter. It's similar to the. It plays a similar role to the Calliope, for example, in delivering a large amount of firepower in a short period of time. The Panzer Stuckisafus kind of drops it 1, 2, 3. It's good for catching units out which retreat. Like when your opponent hears it and panic retreats, that's when a Rakettenwerfer can be very strong, hitting it at every stage of its retreat if you predict it right. Meanwhile, a Panzerwerfer, Calliope, and to an extent Katusha are better at delivering burst damage, though the Katusha plays a kind of similar role to the to the Stuckisafus in that its creeping barrage is really where its strength is. I don't really think this is a very strong rocket artillery ability. It's a shame the creeping barrage costs 45 munitions, but, you know, whatever. Incendiary rockets cost 100 munitions, I guess, so you can counter tit for tat. Stormtrooper, I just want to say, man, when you're sitting on this much manpower and fuel and munitions, you're letting your team down. You really, really are. Everyone else on the German team can't really complain. Bulletproof towards the end, I think, gave up and stopped investing his units. Either that or he was saving for a fourth King Tiger actually, which is very stupid, considering there's Vet 2 Jacksons on the field now. Needed infantry. They all really kind of never rebuilt their infantry, except for Duos. Duos actually did pretty decently. He made a pretty solid recovery into the late game and never really over-invested in anything. He had a good mix, too. At one point he had a Panther, some AT guns, some artillery. I think really what let him down was really his team. Yeah, Panzer Fusiliers, of course, are fantastic infantry, especially against Russia. And yeah. There's nothing really much more to say there. I hope you guys enjoyed the game. I found it very fun to watch. I found it very fun to play. Hopefully, it was very fun to watch. I mean, for me, it's fun to watch because, hey, I played it, and it's nice to see your maneuvers on the grand scale and kind of just give yourself an ego trip. I mean, it really, really is a bit of an ego trip to see your rocket artillery killing a grand total of about 125, models wiping buildings from the thing, and seeing Jackson's work so well, and doing well in a 4v4, because 4v4s by the end, if you haven't noticed, just turn into, blob fests, and that's why the Calliope is actually really good, a really good addition to the USF. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. If I keep doing this, I'm just going to ramble on forever, so I'll end it there. If you like this video, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe for more content like this. I will see you on my next video. Until then, good game and goodbye.